If we don't stand for something, the very foundations of our republic will crumble.
The Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, to its friends, marks its 40th anniversary Thursday. And while some say its influence is waning, it's been the venue of many memorable moments from the political right.
And all this due to one overriding cause. Government was too big and it spent too much money.
We should also acknowledge President Obama. He is the conservative movement's top recruiter. It turns out...
Respect for the Constitution, respect for life, less government, and personal responsibility.
We have a strong national defense and we don't go to war so carelessly.
This year's speakers include freshman Senator Ted Cruz and former Governor Sarah Palin, but the snubs of Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell and New Jersey's Chris Christie have gotten just as much attention in the run-up. The Fix, Mr. Chris Cillizza himself, is here.
Hello.
It's been too long, Chris.
I know. I'm happy to be back.
It's good to have you back. So, to what extent is CPAC important, and to what extent is it overblown?
Sure. So let me take your second question first, which is I do think it's slightly overrated because people tend to view it as the de facto conservative movement. So this is a gathering in Washington, several thousand people. Every year this happens, a lot of young people. And most conservative causes have some representation there. But to assume that CPAC equals the national conservative movement is a mistake. I think doing well, giving a good speech to a crowded room, as I expect Marco Rubio and Rand Paul, who speak back to back, fascinating little bit there, both thinking about running for president. I think that can help you marginally in the kind of buzz chatter world among conservatives. I'm not sure doing badly really matters. So I think it's kind of a net positive if you're good and a nothing burger if you're okay or not bad.
I went to your Politics and Pints trivia this week.
Good.
A fascinating question: who won the CPAC 2012 straw poll? And it, to many people's surprise, turned out to be Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney. So what's interesting is they conduct a straw poll every year. Obviously, it matters more in 2012 than it will in 2013. Yeah. In 2010 and 2011, Ron Paul won the straw poll. In 2012, Romney, who had kind of kept CPAC at a distance, tried and really worked to organize his people and make sure they won. So they won, I think, knowing that winning meant nothing, but losing would be interpreted as meaning something. But yeah, I mean, I think the straw poll, even for someone like me who is obsessed already with the next presidential election,
if you're not
the
even
straw
into
poll
this,
feels kind of like an afterthought. That said, I'll still follow it.
And that said, do you have a sense of who is hand in glove in this political moment, a politician for 2013 CPAC?
My guess is the politician who will receive by far the biggest. There'll be two. Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas,
who has the longest speaking time, more than 30 minutes,
and speaking the final speech of the whole thing on Saturday night, and Rand Paul. Both of them are in that kind of libertarian Tea Party wing of the party that will have huge appeal. Rand Paul's father's speeches at CPAC in the past have been incredibly well received. So they kind of fit the sweet spot. The other person who I think will get a very strong reception, because she always does, is Sarah Palin. She has not been as public, as visible in the past couple months, so I think there'll be kind of a what's she doing now aspect to it, and an interest like there always is in her. And she, as she has shown in the past, is willing to throw red meat to the people who want red meat, and this CPAC crowd wants red meat.
But if the stars of CPAC are Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and Sarah Palin, that is a very different roster with different points of emphasis and maybe even different positions than the Republican Party.
And look, this is, I think, you've hit on what I think is kind of the broader story, both coming out of CPAC and in the Republican Party generally, which is there is a very clear split between the kind of establishment, pragmatic wing of the party who wants to talk less about gay marriage, less about abortion, and find a way to cut a deal on immigration, and the conservative base of the party who thinks we should continue to talk about abortion, continue to talk about gay marriage, and not cut any kind of deal on immigration. Those are just three issues, but there's a tonal difference. There's also on some of these things an issues difference. That doesn't look to be getting solved anytime soon. And to be honest, Brooke, may not get solved until we have the 2016 Republican presidential primary, where you'll have a representative from that Tea Party, for lack of a better word, the conservative base, a Rand Paul, and you'll have a Marco Rubio or a Jeb Bush or a Paul Ryan even. Those two sides will compete, and we'll see who wins. And that person ultimately may indicate which part of the party is controlling the party.
Okay, so for Republican white smoke, we may have to wait 3 years.
Yeah, it's only it's 1,000 days off. It's an easy wait. 999 after today.
Thanks. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Brooke.
Is it really 1,000 days?
It's like 1,030 days until the Iowa caucuses.
Wow.
I know. It's sad that I know that, but yes, it is.